Okay, we'll talk about glossopharyngeal nerves and the vagus nerves together with each other now. Uh, okay, so ninth nerve is also known as the glossopharyngeal nerve, and well, what does it supply? What are its functions? So it has a sensory component to it, and its sensory is like basically sensory from the mouth. Okay, the oropharyngeal sensations. Okay, sensory oropharynx. Okay, oropharyngeal sensations are carried by the ninth nerve. Also, it carries sensations from the carotid, sinus, and body. What is the difference between a carotid sinus and a body? What are these things? What do they detect? Well, the carotid sinus actually detects the partial pressure of O2 in the bloodstream, and if it falls too low, this triggers a reflex tachypnea. And what does the carotid body detect? It detects blood pressure. It is a baroreceptor, so it detects blood pressure. In case the blood pressure falls too high, it sends signals to the vagus. It sends signals to the midbrain, or sorry, the midbrain. Sends signals to the brainstem, which then triggers the vagus, and it slows down the heart rate. Okay. Also, it carries sensations from the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Which sensations? Taste sensations. Okay. And not just the taste sensations, and general sensations like touch, pressure, heat, cold, whatever. Okay, remember this. Let's say this is the tongue, okay? And I'm arbitrarily dividing it into anterior 2/3. This is tongue, this is posterior 1/3. This is anterior 2/3, okay? So the anterior 2/3 taste is by the 7th nerve. General sensation is by the 5th nerve, remember? Over here, taste is by the 9th nerve. And general sensation also by the 9th nerve, okay? What else? Does it have a motor supply? 9th nerve? And the answer is yes. It does have a motor supply. So it supplies something which is a muscle known as the stylopharyngeus. Stylopharyngeus muscle, it is one of the pharyngeal muscles. Its job is to basically elevate the pharynx. But since it's a very insignificant muscle, because since most of the muscles of the pharynx are actually innervated by the vagus nerves, so this is probably one of the most insignificant functions of the 9th nerve. Even if it is lost, nobody cares, okay? But the other functions are there to remember: the carotid body, sensations, oropharynx, etc., etc., and etc. Okay, moving on to the 10th nerve. What are its functions? Okay, does it have a sensory component to it? And the answer is yes. From where? From below the oropharynx, from the laryngopharynx and the larynx. Okay, does it carry any taste sensations? And the answer is yes. It carries taste sensations deep within, from the epiglottic area. Okay, taste from the epiglottic area, but that is not very significant for you to remember. Okay, now motor sensations. Sorry, motor sensation. What a motor sensation! I'm just crazy. There's no such thing as a motor sensation. Okay, motor functions. Okay, it supplies the muscles of three things. One is voice, which means it supplies all the laryngeal muscles. Its job is to approximate the vocal cords or abduct the vocal cords. What does it do? Adduct or abduct? And if you're saying it adducts the vocal cord or it approximates the vocal cords, then the answer is yes, you're absolutely correct. It adducts the vocal cord, not abducts. Okay, so it basically closes the vocal cords. Second, it supplies the muscles of the pharynx, all the pharyngeal constrictors, all the pharyngeal constricted except, or the muscle of the pharynx except stylopharyngeus. Okay, stylopharyngeus is supplied by the ninth nerve, and the soft palate. It also plays a role in the of in the muscles of the soft palate. So what are the muscles of soft palate? You don't need to remember, except which muscle does it not supply. And if you are saying tensor villi palatini, you're absolutely correct, which is actually supplied by the fifth nerve. Remember, tensor tympani, tensor villi palatini, it's supplied by the fifth nerve. Okay, does it have a parasympathetic supply? Yes, the vagus does have a parasympathetic supply associated with it, and it supplies all organs moving from the head to the, like, not even from the head. It has a parasympathetic supply to the heart, to the gut, all the way to the this junction. Okay, including if you imagine this is the colon and the rectum and everything else. This is the colon, this is the ileum. The junction between the anterior 2/3 and the the proximal 2/3 and the distal 1/3 of the transverse colon. So it has a parasympathetic supply. It supplies the heart, supplies the gut. It also supplies the lung, the diaphragm, everything else. Okay, so it has a parasympathetic supply. By the way, I forgot to tell you this. The ninth nerve also has a parasympathetic supply. What does it supply? The parasympathetic supply of the ninth nerve. Okay, we'll write this down over here. What is the parasympathetic supply? What is the parasympathetic supply of the ninth nerve? Remember, I told you earlier, if you remember this one, parotid gland. Okay, parotid gland. So these are the basic functions of the ninth and the 10th nerves. Now our next section will be on pathology of the ninth nerve. What can happen, or the pathology of the ninth and 10th nerve combined. What can happen if they're lesioned?